those things that promote the unity, peace, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria. Honorable colleagues, I've examined and approved the votes and proceedings of Thursday, 22nd February 2018. Honorable colleagues, we have in the gallery the students of Jewel Modern Schools, all the way from Kubwa village. If you're there, please could you rise? A round of applause for them. Thank you for coming. Kindly take your seats. Also in the gallery are students of Baptist Schools, New Karu. Round of applause for them. Thank you for coming. Kindly take your seats. The gallery are students of Maria Azumta Schools Limited from Mararaba Guruku. They are already standing. Round of applause for them. Thank you for coming. Kindly take your seats. Last but not least, students of Community Secondary School Asokoro. A round of applause for them. Thank you for coming. Kindly take your seats. Communication from the President. Presidential decision to decline assent to the Nigerian Peace Corps Establishment Bill 2017, recently passed by the National Assembly. Pursuant to Section 58, Subsection 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 is amended. I hereby convey to the House of Representatives my decision on 25th January 2018 to decline presidential assent to the Nigerian Peace Corps Establishment Bill 2017, recently passed by the National Assembly. Specifically, reasons for the decision to decline assent to this bill include, among others, security concerns regarding the proposed Nigerian Peace Corps being authorized to undertake activities currently being performed by extant security and law enforcement agencies, and B, financial implications of funding the establishment or operations of the proposed Nigerian Peace Corps, given the scarce financial resources. Given that the scarce financial resources may pose serious challenge to the government, please accept The Right Honorable Speaker, members of the House of Representatives, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, President Muhammadu Buhari. On the side note, honorable colleagues, it's an announcement from a member. A right to notify the Right Honorable Speaker of the demise of Honorable Rufus Olorunsho Adebayo, former member of the House of Representatives, Idanre Fidore Federal Constituency from 2003 to 2011, which occurred on Thursday, the 8th of February, 2018, at the age of 84 years. The Speaker, please kindly include this in the order paper of Tuesday, 27th February. I think that has been done. Thanks for your usual cooperation. Announcer, Honorable Badirinwa Bamidele Samson White. So, honorable colleagues, as is the tradition of this honorable house, may we please rise to observe a minute's silence in honor of the departed honorable colleague. And may his gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Any member who has a petition to present to the House may please rise to do so. Any petition? Honorable Biteke.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues. My name is Honorable Bid Uchenna Eke. I represent the good people of Abombise Ngobala Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I have a petition from Mr. John Kemdi Amale. The petition is against the Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry and the Bank of Industry. This petition is an unjust termination of appointment and non-payment of his benefits. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I seek the leave of the House to lay this petition before the House. Thank you.
Please proceed and lay the petition. Any more petitions? There's none. Petition referred to Committee on Public Petitions. We have a point of order from Honorable Bukari Goni Lawan.
Right Honorable Speaker, Udogara, my very respected colleagues, I am Right Honorable Goni Bukari Lawan, member representing Kusari. I am from Yobe State, Speaker. My point of order is matters of urgent public importance, Order 8, Rule 4. Need to rescue the 110 abducted students of the Government Girls Technical College Dapchi, which is my constituency in Bursari local government, Yobe State. I so move and also use this opportunity to seek the acceptance of honorable colleagues to take the matter now, suspend the relevant rules to take the matters now. I so move.
Second First Lim, Honorable Nenna Elendu KJ.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. My name is Nenna Elendu KJ, member representing Bende Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion. It's very eloquently moved by my colleague. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Second Lim, Honorable Gaza.
Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable colleagues, my name is Gaza Jonathan Befi. I represent the people of Karu, Kefi, Kokona Federal Constituency of Nasarawa State, and I rise to move the second leg of the motion that we suspend our relevant rules and take this matter of urgent public importance. I so move.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Rules being suspended. Honorable Goni, you can now move your motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, my very respected colleagues. Once again, I stand before you this morning to move that House notes that in the evening of Monday, 19 February 2018, the convoys of the dreaded terrorist organizations Boko Haram is an attempt to escape the military onslaught against them in what was described as Operation Deep Flush inside the terrorist escalade in the Sambisa forest, invaded Dapchi in Bursari local government in Yobe State, attacked and abducted 110 students of the Government Girls Technical College without any resistance against them. House also note that this was not the first time terrible and callous incidents like that will be perpetrated by this terrorist organization in Yobe State. House further note that in 2014, 58 male students of the College of Agriculture, Buniyadi in Yobe State were mopped down in cold-blooded in their deep sleep. I was aware that various times in Yobe State abduction of school children, many of which were not reported, had been carried out by this dreaded organization, which is many occasions resulted to destruction of lives of these innocent citizens, of which their greatest offense was to have education. I was concerned that the unfortunate incidents has since been going on, not only in Yobe State, but in various parts of the Northeast, especially Borno and Adamawa states, without any proactive measures in place to forestall further occurrences. I was worried that a week to the attack in Dapchi, there was no presence of any military operatives in any of the checkpoints leading to Dapchi town and the school in particular. In spite of the volatile situation in Yobe State as one of the hotbeds of the Boko Haram operation, I was concerned that despite the various pronouncements of the federal government that Boko Haram has been disseminated, their terrorist action have continued unabated. I was resolved to urge the federal government to focus more on providing more security to children's schools in Yobe State, Borno, and other states of the Northeast to forestall further abduction of the students. I also urge the federal government to mobilize every security apparatus, including the Army, Air Force, the DSS, and other agencies to rescue these innocent students and reunite them with their parents as soon as possible. I also mandate the Committee on National Security and Intelligence, Committee on Army, Committee on Air Force, to, as a matter of urgency, visit Dapchi and report back to the House. That the House invite all the service chiefs to brief it on the security situation of the country. urge the House to express the heartfelt and genuine sympathy to the grieving parents of the abducted students, as well as the governor of Yobe State. Urge the House to commend the delegation of the federal government led by the Minister of Information, Foreign Affairs Minister, and the Minister of Interior for their show and solidarity so far. I so move, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable Ossi, Prestige.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. I am Honorable Prestige Ossi, member representing Aba North, Abasa Federal Constituency. I rise to second this motion, ably moved by Honorable Buka. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Goni, please lead the debate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to present this very important motion to this very plenary. Mr. Speaker, sir, that very day I was in Dapchi. I left Dapchi 7 a.m. in the morning to Lagos. Immediately around 6:30 to 7, when I landed in Lagos, I switched on my phone. A lot of calls are coming that Dapchi is under the attack by the Boko Haram. Mr. Speaker, I want to remember this is the first time happening in Dapchi. Dapchi is one of the center of the local government, leading to about 8 local governments in the state. Unfortunately, before this incident happened, there is military presence in that local government. In fact, I directed by the local government, in fact, they built about 4 to 5 bedrooms to the military operation there, because their checkpoint is just opposite my house. So we don't know the reason. By like 1 week ago to this incident, they took away all the military present in Dapchi. We asked this question, why this happened? Because we have only this local government is the one, we have a very big bridge that leading to about 8 local governments. So the presence of the military in that local government is very, very important. And also we have a girls' school. They have about 900 plus students. So there is no reason the military, evacuates the presence of the military in that local government. We don't know. But we complain. Our local government chairman wrote complaint, and including the governor himself, he complained that there is no need for us for now to withdraw a military in that area. Unfortunately, a 1 week withdrawal of the military, so they came in number. They came with about 10 vehicles, 4-wheel drives, 2 Tata. They stationed 2 vehicles in front of my house. They stationed 2 vehicles in front of police station. They stationed 2 vehicles in front of general hospital that's inside the town. They separated the 4 into the town. So in fact, what happened was that day, when the incident happened, there is crowd, gunshot, and so on. They came to that school, they entered. When the students are coming out or going running into the bush, they are saying, no, don't run, don't go anywhere, we'll save you, we are the military. Come enter our car. This is the way they get all this number of the students. So, Mr. Speaker, I know this house is a last hope of this masses of this country. I brought this issue to you. Please intervene and talk to the government, talk to the security agency. Please, we are begging, because the parents are crying. Some of them collapsed. Some of them, up to now, none of them are eating food. So we are begging them, we are just preaching them, and so on. So please, we are feeling this house to please intervene and talk to the federal government and the relevant organization to rescue those people. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, when the committee are going, because we have the information right now, those girls are within the Yobe states. They have never pushed them to anywhere in Niger or Borno because we have a very big forest between Yobe and Borno. According to information, individual information that we are getting, though up to now, those girls are there inside. And the military are aware. It's just like Sambisa now. It's just a matter of for them to go to that place and rescue the children. That is the only. So I submit, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much for listening.
Well, Honorable Goni, in the course of your presentation, you raised a very important point that I want you to confirm because we wouldn't want us to speculate on the issues of security. You did say that there was no military presence there for close to a week before the operation took place, and that complaints were met. But I don't know to whom were these complaints directed, and is it actually true that that was the position? Because the withdrawal of the military ought to have raised a red flag. Why is it that people didn't notice that? Can you speak through the mic, please?
We reported that information to the officer concerned because the state was, like divided into about three operations. We are under Gaidam is one of my local government. That very day, my local government chairman reported to that GOC. Why did you, evacuate this military presence in that local government? He asked this question. And also, the chairman has reported to the security and cabinets of the states. And they reported to the governor, and the governor has already reported to the chief of army staff that this is what is going on for now. There is no reason to, evacuate military presence in Yobe State. He has made that complaint.
It's okay. Honorable Dr. MS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Dr. Mohammed Sani Abdu, Al-Galerikiri Federal Constituency, Bauchi State, APC. Mr. Speaker, it's with deep heart and a sense of shame and embarrassment. In fact, it is a national embarrassment that what has taken place in Chibok is exactly choreographed in Dapchi. It's really an embarrassment. And sir, the embarrassment is because I feel there is a mole in the system. There are saboteurs in the system, and I think we have to go to the bottom of it and deal away with them. Sir, if you recall, a couple of weeks ago, when the army were approaching the last Camp Zero where they could have captured Shekau, they were told to stop. And for 4 days, no activity. And immediately they were told to go, Shekau is nowhere to be found. And even before then, about 7 military officers were bombed and killed inside their base and so on, just because the military were told to withdraw. And now exactly this kind of thing, a week or so before these girls were abducted again, the military were withdrawn from Dapchi. Is this what kind of systemic sabotage? What kind of bringing Nigeria to our knees is happening? Sir, I have been following this since that day. What Goni said is true, but it's half truth, because I heard on television and radio whereby the governor of Yobe State is saying that he didn't know that the military was withdrawn. So to say that he knows now is confusing. He said he didn't know, because I was trying to put the buck on him. I said, as the chief security officer of his state, if the military were withdrawn and you have a secondary school for girls in such an area, the battlefield lines, and you have about almost 1,000 girls or 900 or 700, and many people have said there, if I were the chief security officer, I would close the school and send them home. It's better to be safe with their parents than now to come into this plenary. Sir, this is terrible, and I think we need to check. Are they not intelligent? Only 4 days ago, we had almost a breakdown of law and order in my own constituency behind Yankari Game Reserve between our border of Bauchi State and Taraba State. Around 7:30, some gunmen came in about 5 vehicles and attacked a Ruga village and started sporadic shooting. But within 10 minutes, about 5 people have spoken with me. And thank God I was in Bauchi. I was able to quickly look for the governor. I had to look for the director of SSS. And before 2 hours, a detachment of the Nigerian army was there to rescue the situation. If in such a remote area where we don't have roads, quick intervention can happen. I wonder now, it's a week. There is nothing solid on the ground. I think this is, as I said, an embarrassment. And we cannot be sitting here. And this drama keeps on following. And you can see it's taking a pattern. It's a mosaic. It's a shape. It's not like it's something that is accidental or incidental. It's systematic. Nigeria is on the crossroad. We have saboteurs within and around the system. We cannot close our eyes. We need to do something. And that's why we need to take the gauntlet. The National Assembly need to investigate it itself. We have the relevant committees. If we think they are weak, we can raise a very powerful delegation like we did to, was it Ogun or Osun State when there was a problem before, even when they didn't go, but it was very powerful. I think we need to raise something that will rescue the situation. Our intelligence are not being used. There is no way. Ground intelligence are very, very good. The DSS are good on the ground. But the filtration of their information seems to be sabotaged, and the withdrawal is systematic and deliberate. We need to do something. So I recommend that a very strong, powerful committee of the House must be raised to investigate this, and then also help for succor of the children's parents, and may God be with us in rescuing them in peace, not in pieces, and intact. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Yakubu Umar Berde. I represent Chikun Kajur Federal Constituency. I'm from Kaduna State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleague, let me share in the grief and the trauma of the parents of these girls that were kidnapped in Yobe State, because one can only imagine what they are going through, considering the fact that some years back, some girls were kidnapped from Chibok, and as we speak, most of the ladies or girls have not yet returned. So they are going through a very, very emotional stress because they are not sure if their children will be rescued. That as it may, Mr. Speaker, this brings to fore what we always emphasize, the need for synergy among our security agencies. Mr. Speaker, of recent, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, General Buhari, went to Kaduna, where he commissioned the UAV unmanned area vehicle. And the reason this unmanned area vehicle was a local technology developed by the Nigerian Air Force. And the purpose of it was to be able to have an area surveillance and reconnaissance of what is happening around us. And that will enable our security agencies to know if there are places where insurgencies are gathering and planning something against the nation. Now, I remember when we summoned the security chief here, I did ask this question: why can't we have this technology deployed in Nigeria if we cannot buy it, or we can develop it locally? Now, you ask this question: if insurgents can gather in their number using vehicles to come and kidnap girls from a secondary school, you will know that it's an isolated situation. It's not something that one person or two people or three, which means they had a place where they could sit down, strategize, and the security of our country were not able to detect them. The intelligence were not able to know that they are planning these things. Coincidentally, if it is whether it was a plan or there was a mole in the military, it is something that we must be concerned with. Why was it that this thing happened when the military were withdrawn from that area, then suddenly within a week, they attacked. I think somebody, somewhere, within the military is not either doing his job or he's a mole planted by this insurgent to undermine the security of this country. And we need to really do something about it. The country needs to check who are true Nigerians, even among the military, even among the politicians, because it is heartbreaking that things like this could happen when we are telling the whole world that we have defeated Boko Haram. Can we say we have really defeated Boko Haram? If you say technically, I will disagree. Technically, we have not defeated them. Because for them to be able to mount such an attack, massive, chatting away girls up to a number which is, we are alleging now, is up to 115. It is not an easy operation. It's an operation that was strategically planned. Mr. Speaker, we need to help Mr. President. As a parliament, we really need to help him. And how do we help him? It will be to ensure that we make adequate provision in our budget so that the technology we cannot manufacture in this country, we have to buy it. Mr. Speaker, we talk about today, because this borders on security. Look at what we do in our security on the road and search. Our police search your vehicle, stop and search, they use their hands. No technology. Can we really say they can reveal a vehicle which is carrying explosives or which is carrying weapons? Can they really detect it? If you go to a neighboring country like Niger, all they need to do is to deploy a technology which is done by means of a strap on the road. From a distance, they will be able to know the type of things the vehicle is carrying. But today in Nigeria, in this age, is stop and search. The police do not even have the technology to scan your vehicle, even through hand. They will try to put their hand to check. And we are smiling that there are securities on our road. How can there be insurgents? How can there be when our security do not have the technology that these insurgents have? Mr. Speaker, we really need to do something. And I keep on asking, is this technology too expensive for us? Or is somebody deliberately not wanting to buy this technology so that there will be increment in insurgency, so that money will be voted and the money will go to some pockets? It's very, very disheartening. Mr. Speaker, we really need to do something. If we want to remain as a united country, peaceful, where our people, we can attract investment. These things, if they continue to happen, the recession we are talking of, we will still go back to recession. Because when there is no foreign investment in a country, because of fear of insecurity, Mr. Speaker, Nigeria on its own cannot develop technologically. We need foreign investment. And there cannot be direct foreign investment if there is insecurity in the country. Mr. Speaker, we really need to do something. Because today is Dapchi, it could be another town tomorrow. God forbid. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair of Foreign Relations.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you very much for yielding the floor to me. My name is Nenna Elendu KJ, member representing Bende Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, of course, I share the sentiments of all my colleagues who have spoken before me, and they've called this situation anything from tragic to embarrassing. One of my colleagues actually called it shameful. But Mr. Speaker, sir, for me, this is a state of deja vu. We have been here before. It happened in Chibok exactly 4 years to the day, almost 4 years to the day. 48 boys were slaughtered in their beds in Buniyadi, and now we have lost 110 girls in Dapchi. Mr. Speaker, the concern that I have is that we must, as a country, be told the true state of this counterinsurgency war. Mr. Speaker, a lot of words have been bandied around. Technically defeated, downgraded, uprooted, won, and finally defeated. Mr. Speaker, what that does to us as a people is that we're pulled into this false sense of security, and therefore the way in which we would normally react in a country at the height of Boko Haram has been downgraded as the claims that Boko Haram has been downgraded, with the consequence that a girls' school in the northeast had only 2 old men as guards. Mr. Speaker, I've listened, I've watched television, and I've read a lot about this. And there's so many conflicting stories. They say the military pulled out a week ago. The military spokesperson claims that they pulled out 6 weeks ago. The state is saying that they walked away. Now, in the face of everything that concerns us, we're even starting to look at the possibility of a conspiracy theory. Mr. Speaker, the issue is not about whether there is a mole. It's about what we're doing about insurgency. The truth of the matter, Mr. Speaker, is that I've had conversations with a lot of soldiers. And we all recognize that this insurgency war is not a Nigerian situation. It is a cross-border war. Mr. Speaker, with the success of the war in Mosul by the Allied forces, it means, and they use those same words, that ISIS had been dislodged. Mr. Speaker, terrorism is like a balloon. If you apply pressure somewhere, all the air goes somewhere else. I have said on this floor before that it's not coincidental that as Mosul fell, we saw more bombings by Boko Haram. Mr. Speaker, this is a very migratory war, and it brings me to the structures and the systems. I sit on the Committee on Defense, and I looked at the budget. Mr. Speaker, said the budget for the College of Terrorism is almost non-existent. Now, Mr. Speaker, I believe that as a country we must start to budget for policy. What are our problems? Is there commitment to rolling back this terrorism? Is there commitment? Must we continue not to inform the people of the true state of affairs? Mr. Speaker, Gwoza is there. Sambisa is still taking over. Certain places in the state of Maiduguri, outside of Maiduguri, Mr. Speaker, there's still terrorist activities. When we continue to say these things to the citizenry, Mr. Speaker, the citizenry gets upset. What is happening? If indeed we had technically downgraded Boko Haram and Shekau was on the run, now we hear that it is the faction that has affiliations with ISIS that took this girl. So it is, of course, we can assume that ISIS and the people from Mosul are one. But Mr. Speaker, my concern is that we all know that in reading books on terrorism, that when they have lost their rating on the leaderboard, they are going to start to do desperate things, look for soft targets so that they have respect in the criminal world. Mr. Speaker, I believe that if indeed, and this is a point again for me to congratulate the gallant men and women of the Nigerian Armed Forces, we have downgraded Boko Haram. On the run, Mr. Speaker, they are going to start to hit soft targets. So I think that what is of the utmost import is that the coordination between the security agencies is a given. But the citizenry, Mr. Speaker, that is where us as members of parliament who engage with our constituents must come in, that we must engage with them, ascertain the true state of this war, ascertain the true strength of Boko Haram, ascertain the true strength of the ISIS-affiliated Boko Haram, and tell our constituents, increase the awareness with the Nigerian police, because the job of the military is to secure the territorial integrity of the state and hand over to the police, so that the police can be alive to their responsibilities, Mr. Speaker. This is exceedingly tragic. Of course, the stories that come out of the press, some say they've moved them to Niger, some say this, and it is all in the realm of conjecture. I believe that the most important thing as a parliament is to get the military bosses so that they can give us, so that we understand the true state and have ourselves properly positioned so that we can, as a citizenry, protect ourselves in the face of this counter-terrorism war that seems to be unending. Thank you very much.
Honorable Achibu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my name remains Honorable Dr. Henry Okonachibong, representing the good people of Itubiono Federal Constituency in Akwa Ibom State. Mr. Speaker, it is with deep sympathy and that I stand up to speak on this matter. Mr. Speaker, the primary responsibility of this government is the security and welfare of Nigerians. The primary responsibility. If that primary responsibility is not taken 100%, then it means that the government has failed. Mr. Speaker, it is very shameful, like other colleagues have said, that Boko Haram has been degraded, they have been exterminated, they have been uprooted from Nigeria. Shekarau has disappeared, and then somebody somewhere, a group somewhere has been able to sit down and plan and orchestrate and kidnap about 110 children from this country. And this kidnap did not take seconds or minutes. I want to believe that it took hours. Mr. Speaker, we have conflicting arguments. Some say the military were withdrawn 6 weeks ago, some said 1 week. I believe that if a government is very concerned about its people and the military has been withdrawn, what happens to the police? I want to believe that the police would have been delegated to man that school and probably this wouldn't have happened. Mr. Speaker, what happens to the intelligence in this country? I want to believe that we have spent so much on security in this country, and there is no way somebody would tell me that the security agencies in this country wouldn't have had some form of intelligence and would have decided to, even if they had to demobilize the police, the army, and send them somewhere, other security agencies would have been there to take care of this situation. Mr. Speaker, there's something very, very uncanny about this. I'm asking myself, is it not possible that this is an arrangement to move the people's mind away from the headsmen killing? For now, we're not hearing about the headsmen. We have a way of trying to distract ourselves from issues on ground. I am very particular about that, and I want to say that in as much as this is not right, that Nigeria should sit and allow this embarrassment to happen to the so-called giant of Africa. We should sit up, heads should roll, people should resign. The other day in the South-South, I heard and I'm aware that security agencies from Cameroon infiltrated into Nigeria in search of fugitives. What is Nigeria doing? It's not about corruption. We've gone beyond the level of corruption now. We're talking about the security of this country. So I want to believe that, I want to sympathize with those that have been kidnapped if it is true. But if it is not true, I want to also feel that we should look at the angle of diversionary tactics from this government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Ami.
Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my name is Rimande Shaulu Kwewu. I represent Takum Donga Usa and Yangtu Federal Constituency in Taraba State. Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I want to call our attention to just 3 important things. First of all, I want us to understand that the army or the military are engaged in operations that are ongoing in the Northeast. The use of the phrase, withdraw the army, withdraw this, seem to give some impression that may not be very totally correct. They are in constant state of redeployment, deployed from one section to another. As a matter of fact, a few days ago in Borno State, I lost a captain from Bukari, from my state, who was engaged in operations because this is an ongoing process. If there's notice of a problem somewhere, people are moved to attend to those problems. So the use of the phrase that seems to give the impression as if something deliberately was done, I think we have to be very careful about the use of that phrase. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, I want to draw our attention to the fact that the ungoverned spaces in Nigeria today are increasing. The large number of people in IDP camps, the large number of people that have been thrown away from their homes are increasing. And we have spaces that don't have security cover generally. And in central parts of Nigeria, those places are also increasing because when people move from their homes,
move from their towns to congregate somewhere, they are leaving spaces, and that's the problem that we have. We have increasing space or increasing ungoverned spaces in the country that give room for hideouts for all kinds of things to happen. In the northeast, as at last year, we had the ratio of soldiers to the landmass was a soldier to 5 kilometers, meaning that most of the places cannot be policed. They cannot, we are not covered by security. That raises the need that we have emphasized a long time about the importance and the urgency of increasing the number of policemen. There are several places that have been liberated, so to say, but the soldiers have to move for other operations, and those places, the insurgents come back to take over those places. We need to do something about increasing the low percentage of police, the low number of policemen that we have to keep those areas. And of course, the final point I want to make is that while we are talking about the military, about everybody, we also have to talk about us, the citizens. Security is not the role of military per se. You just imagine the fact that a group of people will come to an area, spend 1 hour, and then spend 1 hour to carry people. Some say that, some reports are saying that they've even been taken to, which our colleagues disputing, taken to Niger Republic. Between where they are taking them to Niger Republic, there are no settlements. Nobody has phone call. Nobody has vigilante. Nobody has anything to do. Citizens will have a role to participate in these activities, in these things that are happening. And if we don't talk about our own role too, what we also need to do, this problem cannot end. It's everybody's problem. It is not just security officers' problem. Thank you very much.
Honorable Garba Chedi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Garba Chedi Amanjulde, a member representing the good people of Bali Gasol Federal Constituency. I'm from Taraba State. Mr. Speaker, my heart is very filled with sorrow because of the incident. And I have to sympathize with the parents of Dapchi school girls for what's happened. We are still praying, may God give them heart to endure the trauma which they are going through. Mr. Speaker, I want us to look at this happening. And I want us to gather ourselves with questions. Why this is happening? Why this is happening? I want us to gather ourselves with these questions. Is it somebody who neglects his duty? Is it somebody who refuses to do his professionalism in his duty? Mr. Speaker, the army, this thing happened 1 week after the army withdrew from Dapchi area. Mr. Speaker, there is a process. Because I could remember when we are in Lagos, if there is crisis, there is crisis in Idiaraba area, and the army were deployed to Idiaraba. And anytime his government want to withdraw this army from Idiaraba and Lagos, they inform the community. So that if you are walking about in the night, you will know your movement. If you are the person that stays in the club for a long time, you will know your movement because he knows there is no army to secure the environment. Mr. Speaker, there is no any announcement to the community that we are withdrawing from that area. They have withdrawn. And after 1 week, this thing comes happen. Another thing, Mr. Speaker, after the withdrawal, because this morning I heard BBC, army and police, they are portioning blame to themselves. The army says it's the police. The police say it's the army. So here, Mr. Speaker, I want us to look at this matter. What is happening? Because it's only a fool can put his hand in the hole, in the bush, 2 times. Because you put 1 time, there's something bite you, a snake bite you. You come another day again, you put your hand in that hole. Mr. Speaker, I want us to ask this question, why this type of thing is happening. Because security in the country is very, very, very serious. Because, thank you very much, because without it, nothing is going to happen. We are crying for investors. With all these happenings, they won't come. Mr. Speaker, let's check why this type of thing is happening. It's happened before. Look at Mr. Speaker. Army just put bomb in Iran at the IDP's camp. That one has gone. Nothing's happened. Mr. Speaker, the only thing I want is that let's ask ourselves this question. Why all this thing is happening? Thank you very much.
Sadiq.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Sadiq Ibrahim. I represent Fufore, Sang Federal Constituency. I'm from Adamawa State, obviously from the Northeast. Mr. Speaker, just like my other colleagues that spoke, before me, my heart is also with the people of Yobe, the people of the Northeast, and the people of Nigeria over this unfortunate incident. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by saying that if there is anything that this Dapchi incident taught me, is that we have not learned any lesson from the Chibok incident. That is just the fact. If a school in Chibok, when other schools had closed, and girls from other schools were brought to Chibok to take their examinations, with no security cover, knowing that Chibok is a stone's throw to Sambisa, and the army came, and the Boko Haram came and took away those girls to Sambisa forest. Another school, girls' technical school in Dapchi. I know Dapchi very well. I'm not from Yobe. Mr. Speaker, Dapchi is on the fringes of the desert. It borders Yulusari and Yusufari local government. I cannot imagine that a governor who is the chief security officer of his own state, and obviously he conducts monthly security meeting with the brigade commander in that state, will leave a girls' school in the fringes of the desert without security manning the gates and the premises of that school. That makes me to believe that we have not learned any lesson from the incident of Chibok. Mr. Speaker, the blame shouldn't be that the governor did not know that the army had been withdrawn, or the brigade commander had told the governor that they were going to withdraw. The incident is purely that of dereliction of duty and lack of care for the female folk. In the Northeast, Mr. Speaker, especially Yobe, more than 50% of the women in Yobe State cannot read and write. And there is a technical school in the fringes of the desert where if you take any woman within few minutes, you are in close to the border with Chad. I mean, close to the border with Niger. And it is an open desert. Mr. Speaker, I was there. There are no human beings there because the arid zone has made it so difficult for people to habit many areas in Yunuswari and Yusufari. Therefore, for me, Mr. Speaker, it is just the dereliction of duty by the army and lack of care by the state government to know that a school, girls' school must be manned at all times by the military if we want girls' education to continue, just as we disrupted the girls' education in Chibok. So, Mr. Speaker, for me, what we should do in this respect, thank you, Goni has brought and opened the conversation. Therefore, we should continue to converse until we find a solution to the problem. But the solution is not far. We all know what the problem is, we all know the solution, but we do not have the political will to carry it out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Oni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Oni Olamide, member representing Ijero, Ekiti West, and Efo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to align with the traditional saying that when the police is overwhelmed in a particular environment or operation, the army will take over. The issue of the withdrawal of the military, they should have handed over to a civil authority that is established in this troubled area. This civil authorities is the police. But we should ask ourselves questions that police stations, are they established in that area? Are there any radars, communication, equipment that can give them signals that enemies are around? Are there patrol vehicles stations around all the troubled areas? These invaders or these aggressors, they brought vehicles and stations and areas and they start shooting, they start firing, they start kidnapping. We want to ask ourselves whether the local government chairman of that area who called himself the chief security officer of that local government, is he in consultation with the governor of that place, who is the chief security officer of the state? Are they in consultation together with the security agencies in the state? This is the question we should ask ourselves. Somebody said we have spent so much on security. If we are spending so much on security and we have not achieved the right goal, meaning we have not spent anything in that area. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want us to look inward. All the arrowheads of that area, the chief security officer of the local government, the state governor, the security operatives, the IG, the army that are on operation there, they should synergize together to make sure that this area is well guarded against any external aggressors. They should synergize together. If these provisions of equipment are not made for them, we are not going to do anything. They will still be coming and be going. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is a solution that we are looking for. It is high time that we start working together. The military are working alone there, the police are working alone. The civil defense there, they are working alone. So we must put our acts together. Our acts must be act together so that we can conquer these menaces. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Farouk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I'm Honorable Engineer Abla Omar Farouk, representing the good people of Birning Chemical Gobulda Federal Conference. Mr. Speaker, honestly speaking, I'm certain by what we are doing for ourselves with regards to the security issues in this country. When I say we, I mean those who have the responsibility in government to do otherwise. Mr. Speaker, a member has said it, that the primary function of government is security and social welfare of the people. But we are paying lip service to this provision of the Constitution, and we are doing almost nothing with regards to our obligations, even in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, just today, now, you just read to us,
Order.
sadly, from the President, what the National Assembly had thought, discussed, deliberated, and a bill sent to him to improve the security of this country. And he sent it back, giving very flimsy reasons. What is that reason? There is no money. How much are they spending now with regards to the security issues relating to the Northeast? It's so much. And we were thinking about how to bring preventive issues of criminality so that right from infancy we kill criminality, and he is rejecting that. Mr. Speaker, I want to believe we are not serious with the issue of security, and I so much support this motion, we should investigate further. What is the reality of this hypothetical issue about the government or the army who are there are working for the third person? We have to know about it. The coincidence is just too much. What exactly happened with the Chibok is exactly what is happening here with Dabchi. So we have to investigate it. And I know how wholeheartedly support this motion that we should investigate. The excuses given by the chairman, unfortunately, please, this is not the position of the House. There is no excuse. What is the main operational action of the military is strategy. If the strategy is that they don't know that Dabchi is a sensitive and security-based area, then what are they doing there? I believe the president should bring them back and deploy them with other set of army. Mr. Speaker, we have to be serious. We have to have a very powerful ad hoc committee that will investigate and find out the root causes of all this. There is a conspiracy theory and we have to dig about it. The money they are spending, which is not even budgeted by this assembly, is what is luring them to do that. And they don't want the end of this insurgency. Mr. Speaker, we have to investigate this. Thank you.
Honorable colleagues, in view of the importance of the motion, it appears that we may even go past the 1 hour mark on this debate. We've almost taken an hour talking about this, but in view of the fact that this is our primary responsibility as the government, I want to plead with us to bear some more so that more members can talk on this. But I will advise that we keep our contributions very short in view of the fact that a lot has been said, really. And we are just descriptive of the present situation from all the debates I've had. But the truth is, we should address the core of the matter. What have we done right now to ensure that if these terrorists were to make an attempt this night to kidnap another set of girls from our schools in the northeast, that attempt will be thwarted? What do we do going forward to ensure that this national shame does not happen again? I think that is what our constituents will want to hear us debating. But as to who is responsible for what, even the malls, what have we done to punish the malls? So we'll take from Honorable Dan, Honorable Assad will wrap up from this row, and then I think I skipped this row. So I'll move back to here.
Me. You were busy discussing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I am Honorable Daniel Renyeju. I represent Warri Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Delta State. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleagues, it is actually a national shame. But as Mr. Speaker has directed or advised, a lot have been said about this motion. Whether we like it or not, one thing should be paramount in this chamber as we speak here today about this very ugly issue, which Mr. President has described as a national shame, and it's a disaster. It is really ridiculous. And it shows that we have not actually learned anything in terms of actually protecting this country. I am very surprised that going forward, Mr. Speaker, I have listened to a lot of people, but one particular contribution actually made me a little bit sad, which has to do with the chairman of Army. It is very unfortunate. It is actually very unfortunate that at this point where we are talking about missing of about 110 girls, my own chairman and my colleague will say the army should not be blamed. I do not know who should have been blamed. Maybe me, or maybe this parliament, or maybe the colleagues here. Mr. Speaker, when we bring such issues to this floor, we should be dispassionate, and we must be patriotic. These are pure, innocent girls who are only trying to acquire education. What we can do, Mr. Speaker, let me go to the advice you have talked about. It is not to continue to, agonize here about what has happened. What has happened has happened. And what we should be doing as a nation is to organize on how to get these girls back to their parents and get them back to this country, and then fortify more and continue to train our security agents. I do not want to believe that they are overfunded. No, I do not want to believe so. I want to believe that the will to actually carry out their responsibility is not really there. If not, for the past 2-3 years that we have been here, we know that the budget of this nation has always been very, very robust in terms of security. So I do not want us to look at it from this angle that the military or the defense or whatever is not actually properly funded. They are funded, but the will to actually use the equipment that are being bought is another issue. So I would want to suggest that I do not know if the command and control center that was moved into Borno at the beginning of this administration has been moved back to Abuja. If it has been moved to Abuja, because I see the military men more, I mean the top military hierarchy is driving sirens more on Abuja streets. They should relocate, all of them. Abuja is come today. Let them relocate back to Yobe or Borno and get these girls back to this nation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Pat, but please, let's shorten our contributions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Pat Asad. I represent Suka Igbeze South. And I want to, before talking about possible solutions, also commiserate with the families and especially with the poor girls and put them in the situation of being my daughters or your own daughters, so that when the German army gives us technical reasons why this should happen, we should also look at the family reasons and the situation of young girls who may never have seen a gun in their lives, now living with terrorists and being abused, probably going to come back with children that they did not want and missing an education they so wanted. And if they come back angry and also become a problem to society, we will try to justify why it is possible that in Nigeria of present day, every week, last week we were talking about Zamfara, and when Mr. Speaker put the question to vote, the ayes had it, but the reaction of members showed the wariness we have about discussing security challenges in different parts of this country without any solution in sight, and with a government that seems to be distracted. Mr. Speaker, I feel the Commander-in-Chief may mean well, but one of the solutions I think we should start with is pleading with our governors, especially those of the APC, to allow a president that's facing a security crisis in a country that should be talking about state of emergency. We are sending delegations upon delegations to keep a man who trained as a soldier should be able to get on top of this, to be talking about 2019 elections, on top of blood that is flowing in Zamfara, or the blood flowing in Benue, or the innocent children that are being taken as refugees and actually as booties of war. I also blame the federal government for a very, very ominous signal in the military, and that is the persistent word to the hierarchy of the Nigerian security leadership. When Mr. President extended the tenures of the service chiefs, I thought there were clear landmarks, clear indicators that they had achieved very sustainable degradation of the Boko Haram and actually the other terrorist organizations. And like Dr. said, we could be actually facing a situation where we will just put the herdsmen attack on the backside and pursue those who have kidnapped these guys. And before we come next week, there will be another motion of urgent public importance on another place where havoc has been wreaked. So for me, we need to look into the details of the big business that Boko Haram is turning into in Nigeria. Because I've been following the trials and the appearances of former service chiefs before the EFCC for charges of corruption, and some of the monies being refunded, which are obscene, because these are monies taken away from monies appropriated to fight insurgency. And I have no doubt in my mind that there is no clear indication that this kind of making Boko Haram and insurgency a permanent feature of Nigeria, possibly for the gain of those who are in leadership. If you meet some of the living standards when we blame politicians, and you meet some of the service chiefs and those below them that are indicators that should contain insurgency, and look at the difference between their lifestyles and those of the soldiers that actually confront the the terrorists, you see that there can be no morale. The morale of the fighting soldiers. We will just finish an oversight of the army formations and looking at the rickety places some of those soldiers live and the budget that will pass, even in the army committee that is talked about, you know, Mr. Speaker, that we as Parliament need to stop all this being civil about our security challenges. I know that we are virtually in a war situation across the whole country, and we must bring our services to come and answer to the votes that they are giving to the monies that are given to them. Two, this era of creating a cordon of or a pathway for attacks to happen, it happened in Enugu, and we kept complaining that the security agencies gave way for the terrorist attack. And when we finish, we'll pass our usual resolution and nothing will happen. So I would not be surprised if we finish this way and in the next 1 week there's another motion or because something more drastic and more deadly has happened. And we'll keep on retaining service chiefs that have not delivered, stagnating those who should come new ideas and new programs about how to manage security. And also making sure that the cohesion and especially the that should exist in these services are not sustained. So for me, except to allow the president to do his work, I think we also understand that the biggest thing in Nigeria now is security of life and property. He could be president, but you can't be president to dead people. You want the president to the living. And you want the president to those who can go to school, who can go to hospitals and come home alive. You cannot, when this is happening, I'm not sure that anybody went to Benue to show that some people died was a significant loss in this country. But that is not right to be talking about campaigns and campaigns. And those who will win, whether we start now or tomorrow. But for me, we must hold our services responsible. And both the DSS, the police, the army, and then encourage our own local arrangements, because whether we like it or not, community policing, whether formally inaugurated or elect services, must be the bedrock for the way forward, because our security agencies have actually failed us. And the leadership of this country must choose whether it is 2019 that is more appropriate now, or saving the lives of those who vote for us. On this note, I urge my colleagues not to lay any blames on ourselves or any of the other levels, except our security agencies, which have been awarded and well funded. Thank you.
So, honorable colleagues, in view of the fact that time is gone, please, you know, if I recognize about 5 more or 10 members and you take 5 minutes, that means another hour is gone. So we have to understand that we're facing crisis of time. No, I will not put the question until you, Honorable Zachary, have spoken on this Safe School initiative. In fact, I will recognize you to talk about it. Honorable Zachary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Zachary Mohammed. I represent Barutinka. I'm a federal constituency, Mr. Speaker, from Kwara. Mr. Speaker, I will yield the floor to my colleague, Honorable Keita, to take the turn on our seats. You, Mr. Speaker. How can you do that? To take your turn.
Honorable Keita, I have not recognized you, please. Honorable Namobi.
Right Honorable Speaker and my very distinguished colleagues, I am Uchechugu Namobi, and I represent the good people of Ahodo West and Oba Ebemendani Federal Constituency. I'm from Rivers State. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, it is with a deep sense of mourning that I rise to contribute to this all-important motion. Now, the army in the recent past told us that, or even the president, if you like, that there were no spectacular attacks anymore, but Boko Haram was not able to carry out any spectacular attack, and yet a very, very hopeless one just happened the other day. I think that is all Nigerians, because if we are not secure as a people, then I wonder what government is here to do. If you cannot protect Nigerians, it will get to a point where even members of the National Assembly will be abducted or kidnapped. For me, this is not a time to apportion blames, but it's a time to call our security chiefs to order. It is my suggestion that we invite all the security chiefs across board for them to come here and explain to us what they are doing,
how they are protecting Nigerians, and what the government is doing generally to see that the lives and property of Nigerians are protected. It has happened in almost every part of the country. There is some diversionary tactics, if you ask me. What is the army doing generally? What are they doing? We've had situations where people have complained in various parts of this country. My state, for instance, thank God we enjoy relative peace now. What is the army doing? How many of them are posted? Do we even know how many we have in this country? What are these chiefs doing? Is anybody profiteering from this insurgency? Who is making money from it? How are they living their lives? I think we should also be investigated. So it is to my mind that this entire thing is no longer a joke. It is not a national disaster. It is a huge joke. A country that does not show seriousness with the citizens' lives should actually be brought to book. So I'm calling on the presidency to do better than just take pictures. For them not to tell us stories about those who they've actually been able to get back and all of that. But for them to show more seriousness and tell Nigerians the truth. This is a wake-up call. This is to ensure that we all live here as a people. If this doesn't happen, there will be no Nigeria. And if there's no Nigeria, we won't even sit down here to talk because we'll be either in our villages or we'll be in hiding. I thank you for this opportunity, and I call that they be investigated and these people be invited here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Goni, please, can you give the information you wanted, please?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, members, once again. I just want to give one or two clarification in regard to the Chairman Army, what he has said, that the community, in terms of security, communities are most involved. Actually, that day, when some groups of people cited the Boko Harams are moving to Dapchi, they called the local government chairman and the local government chairman that they called the OC operation in Gaidam local government. Report to him that those people are approaching Dapchi. Are you aware of this? The officer concerned there, he said, noted they are aware. No response, no action until they came to Dapchi and did what they did. The second one, one or two members have just said in my clarification that maybe the governor is aware of the withdrawal of the military. Actually, that day, governor is not aware that the military have withdrawn, but the chairman is aware. He has already reported to the OC operation in Gaidam. So that is two clarification that I want to give. Rather, but some of our members are just saying it's not the time of blaming the military or anybody. What we want as a representative, what we want, let the federal government take more action to please produce those girls for us. That is our prayer. Thank you.
Honorable Gabriel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, Gabriel Onyeri is my name. I represent Oyi. I am a federal constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we must call a spade a spade. Mr. Speaker, in supporting this motion, if we look at section 14, subsection 2, paragraph B of the 1999 Constitution as amended, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, it says, the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. Primary purpose of government. Mr. Speaker, if we are looking for solution on this insurgency acts, now on abduction of the Dapchi girls, Mr. Speaker, security is the responsibility of government. Government at the federal level, government at the state level, government at the local government level. Why is it so? Some blames have been apportioned to the military. Some have been apportioned to the police, who is the employer of the military and the employer of the police. Are they doing the supervisory duties that they are supposed to do?
Some members have raised the issue of technology-driven means of identification of crime. To what extent has the federal government lived up to the expectations that is required of it to ensure that the military personnel in the different areas and fields of operation are mobilized with adequate arms and ammunition, with adequate commensurate encouragement and welfare package? To what extent are the policemen we know that are at checkpoints and that are on security outposts, to what extent are they mobilized? To what extent are they encouraged? To what extent are they provided with the necessary equipment to fight insurgency and crime? That is where the blame is on the government. On the state, governors have security votes. Governors are the security officers of their respective states. To what extent do they live up to this obligation and duty to ensure that the primary purpose of government, which is the security of the people and their welfare, is taken care of? We are talking about that. The governor is not aware. The governor is aware. Who is the chief security officer? Is it imaginable that in a situation where we have a security crisis, that the governor of a state doesn't have people who are reporting to him within 24 hours of the different security situations all over the state? Is it imaginable? Mr. Speaker, the solution is one way, and it is at government at the center, government at the state, and government at the local government. Government should live up to its constitutional responsibility of ensuring that the lives of the citizens are secured and their welfare taken care of. That's my submission, and I support the motion.
Honorable Yakub.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Yakub Abiodun Balogun, representing Lagos Island 2 Federal Constituency. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for yielding the floor to me. I want to remind these Alo chambers that over a year ago, I stood at the same point, moving a motion which was unanimously passed by this House, advising that government should do a lot with regards to security in our secondary schools, especially those with hostels. In fact, it saddens my heart that we allowed the situation in Chibok to repeat itself. But coming back to the solution, I want to suggest that each of our schools, especially those with hostels or boarding houses, whether boys alone or girls alone or mixed, should be provided with security guards, probably retired and still energetic military people or police security people with walkie-talkie. And again, the head boys or girls in such schools should be allowed to have GSM phones, so that, because the practice in most schools that are boarding houses, they don't allow children to have phones that they can use, but the head students there can be allowed to have phones, and the teachers that are residents hostels should also do something, because government cannot do it alone. The Nigerian Army or the Air Force or the police cannot do it alone. In a situation where I gathered, if it is true that half of the population of our police men and women are attached to important personalities in this country, it shouldn't be the case. They should be dismantled. They should be asked to watch over these hostels and schools. So what I'm now suggesting is that government should not do it alone. The people, we civilians too, should complement the government effort. At least when they were taking these children in about 4 vehicles along this dashing roads, there must be some people who must have seen them. Why have they not called the police station that is just about half a kilometer to the place? In fact, we all have responsibilities to do. We should not blame government alone, but government should also we should provide under the Ministry of Education, provide for these security guards and also the equipment that easy equipment that can be used, that is not dependent on network or no network. On this note, I want to say that we should please, apart from these two areas, we should please ensure that as from tonight, something is done with all, to secure all our secondary schools with OSS as from the time, so that we will not have experience of Chibok and Dachi again. Thank you very much, sir.
This we're taking too much time, and haven't had new things being introduced into the debate. Honorable Yinka, you've been raising your hand for 1 hour. I thought Zachary was going to defer to you. I was surprised, pleasantly surprised, when he deferred to Kaita instead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My respected colleagues, my name is Oladeyi Bajari, and I represent the people of fellow Mr. Speaker, I am from the state of Osun. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, this is 105 kidnaps too many. We've heard a passage from the Constitution that says that the primary responsibility of government is to provide for the welfare, the well-being and security of citizens. Mr. Speaker, only a few years ago, this same incident happened in Chibok. Mr. Speaker, what lessons have we learned from Chibok? As a country, what lessons have we learned? As a government, what lessons have we learned? As citizens, what lessons have we learned? Mr. Speaker, one is very, very worried that one of the lessons which we ought to have learned